I love singing the old favorite, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. And I guess that hymn is so beloved because of its story. The composer, John Newton, was a former slave ship captain, an utterly depraved reprobate who was converted by the grace of God. When you read about his stark transformation, you can appreciate how amazing God's grace is. But what is grace? And why is it so amazing? Well, grace is the overflow of God's loving nature. It is in God's nature to pour out his undeserved favor, to keep rescuing us from sin. And that is the amazing part, because we are just like John Newton, miserable sinners who have broken God's law. We've injured others, and we are at the core, oh so lost. But thankfully, God saves through his Son, Jesus Christ. It is his grace that turns cold hearts of stone into warm hearts full of love for God. That's how grace works. It saves us, rescues, and redeems us. Now, this grace meant the world when decades ago, God rescued me from the grip of sin, and I professed Christ as my Savior. But after my diving accident in which I broke my neck, I needed grace of a different sort, the kind that could help me to not only survive, but actually thrive in a wheelchair. And that is the other part of God's nature. Because grace is also a power that God gives to help us live well, especially when we suffer. God says in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And so there is saving grace, and once we're saved, there is grace that helps us live like we're saved. Philippians chapter 2, verse 13 puts it this way, "For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him." And this is the grace I live on every day in this wheelchair. Oh yes, I am eternally grateful that I'm saved by grace, and I'm glad that I can live by grace, especially as hard as life is with my paralysis. Oh, what a generous God we have. What a merciful God. For grace is not only his inclination to treat people better than they deserve, it is his power that helps us to live in a way that pleases him. And this is what makes grace so amazing. I mean, come on, the eternal holy God who can no more tolerate sin than light can darkness, this righteous God died an excruciatingly cruel death to rescue dog-nasty sinners like us. And the angels must have stood back thinking, the Son of God is doing what? I mean, it was scandalous what happened on the cross. So yes, grace that saves us is amazing. And then I'm amazed every time God's grace gives me the power to smile, living half a century of paralysis. It can all be summed up in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16, where it says, quote, "Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace to receive mercy," that's salvation, "and to find grace to help in time of need." That is power to live well. Friend, it is by grace that you are saved, and it is by grace that you live like you are saved. So do what it takes to keep your soul open to the grace of God, and look for that grace in Bible reading, prayer, and fellowship with other Christians. And then you just might find yourself singing Amazing Grace.